What's up, Hyperdrivers? Welcome back to the channel. So the wait is over. Andor episodes 1, 2, and 3 are now streaming on Disney Plus, and I'm about to talk about my thoughts on the first 3 episodes. So I'm not going to go really heavily deep into spoilers, but it's unavoidable. I'm probably going to talk some spoilers in this episode. So if you haven't already seen the Andor TV show, I highly recommend that you go check it out before you hang out with me and listen to my thoughts about this episode. If this is your first time on the channel, here on the Hyperdrive, we talk about Star Wars all the time, mostly collectibles, but I love to do these reaction videos and reviews of the TV shows and the movies that we get when Star Wars stuff comes out. It's because this is all we got to live for. I really enjoy Star Wars, and that's what I like to talk about most. So if you enjoy it too, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you can jump to Lightspeed every week with us right here on the Hyperdrive. All right, so you've been warned. We're getting into a little bit of spoilers. Andor. So I was really excited to have this show come out. Really excited to see the continuation of the story for Andor, for Cassian, or at least a beginning of him, because we got to see his ending in Rogue One. And we finally got it, right? We got Diego Luna back. We got new characters and a hopefully great show, right? So that being said, the first 2 episodes, when I got into it, I passed out in the first 2 episodes. I fell asleep twice. It's a very slow burn at the beginning, and if you are expecting it to be fast paced right from the start, it's not that type of show. It is a very slow show for the first 2 episodes. Now, episode 3 is off the chain great. I really liked episode 3. So if you can muscle through the first 2 episodes, which is really only about an hour and 20 minutes maybe for those first 2 episodes, episode 3 is a big payoff, and I think moving forward, this show is really going to be great. I think this show actually has a great opportunity to bring in fans from Star Wars and also people who are not really into Star Wars and maybe into spy films or maybe into action films outside of Star Wars. They don't want the sci-fi nature, but this has more of a grittier vibe, a more adult vibe than any other Star Wars show that I've ever seen, any other Star Wars movie that I've ever seen. So for that, it's definitely what I wanted in a Star Wars show, and I'm very happy with what I'm getting. So just letting you know that even though I did pass out on the first 2 episodes, I went back and watched them and made it to episode 3. I am very much enjoying this show so far. So right out the gate, I really like how this show started. All of the characters that they introduced right out of the beginning. You have Andor there in the bar with it, which seems to be kind of like a strip club, which is a Star Wars first, right? I've never seen anything like that in a Star Wars anything, So that was kind of cool. You have those corrupt officers that come off and try to shake down Andor, and then he gets into this fight, which accidentally kills one of the officers, and then he basically has to do what he has to do to get out of that situation, right? So that is believable, and I thought that was really cool the way they did that. So now he's on the run, and he wants to get off the planet and go into hiding. When he gets back to the planet, though, we're introduced first to that robot, the B2 Emo, which it's his friend, so I get it's the kind of the K2SO of this show. It even talks, which is interesting. I feel like the robot is interesting. It's kind of cool looking, but of all of the droids I've seen come into Star Wars shows and movies, it's probably the least advanced looking. Kind of looks like a bunch of blocks piled on each other. So I'm not really all that impressed with the design of that. As much as I was like say with like BB-8 or K2SO, just the design of those droids seemed to be more advanced in my opinion. So that's my thoughts on that. Immediately after though we're introduced to this droid, we go into this flashback, and I think this is where the show probably suffers the most, is the flashbacks. I don't feel like they have very much of a payoff. The only thing that I can see after the first 3 episodes is that it serves to show how he met Marva, the mother figure that Andor has at this point in the show. So, and even then at the end, he's forced to leave her. So I don't see what the point of showing how they met really had an impact to the story. So anyway, but they're there, so they have the flashbacks. At least they don't have the back to tank that they had in Boba Fett. So there's that. We get introduced to these other characters as well, though. We have Bix, Tim, and Brasso. All right. So Brasso is kind of like his best friend. And that's a really awesome character. I like how he has his back. You know, Andor comes to him and tells him the situation that he's in. He immediately wants to cover for him, which is cool. It's the kind of best friend that you want to have. I really like what he did in the last episode, and I'll get to that probably later on when we talk about that part. But it just a really awesome character, right? Nice guy. Then you got Tim and Bix. So Bix is also his friend, but the vibe I get from these three is there's some kind of a love triangle there. I think Bix has some unrequited feelings for Andor. Maybe they've known each other too long. You know, they're good friends and everything, and maybe Andor doesn't realize that, or maybe there was a past relationship that they haven't really gone into yet. But the vibe I get from them is that she's willing to help him out, and Andor is wanting to get off the planet, and that's all he's really focused on at this point. So he uses her to gain contact with her contacts so that he could sell this Imperial box to make money to get off the planet. Tim, on the other hand, is in a relationship with Bix, and he is jealous of the feelings or the relationship that Bix and Andor seemingly have. So there's that too, which is also, you know, something that gets further evolved in episode 2, where he gives up Andor to the officials. So there's that character. Marva is the stepmom or like surrogate mother that rescues him from the planet when he's a kid and raises him on this new planet. She's shown, you know, there, here and there, but she doesn't really have very big parts in the episode. So seemingly she does a good job being the mom. So I think that's good. You got two antagonists that are introduced in the story. The first one is Inspector Karn. So Inspector Karn is kind of like your eager to please. I want to say eager to please, an eager kiss ass, right? He really wants to move up in the ranks. He's ambitious, and he sees Andor as the way for him to move up in rank, probably. He finds out about the officers being killed, and even though after he's ordered to stand down and to just take and cover up the whole event, he continues to pursue the whole situation, and then finds Andor on the planet that he's at this point in the story. Sergeant Linus is also introduced. Now, Sergeant Linus is kind of like your, you know, tough guy cop. You know, he's got a vendetta against Andor. It's because other his fellow officers have been killed, so he just wants revenge, and that's basically the vibe I get from him. The funny thing there, though, is the relationship between him and Karn, right? So Karn is kind of inadequate. He's inexperienced on the field, from what I can see. Seems to be very, very focused on his look. Like they talk about how he altered his uniform a little bit and everything. So he has this kind of thing about him like that. So it just doesn't seem like the guy that's going to be out in the field. And they show that in episode 3 when he's out there, that he seems like he's kind of fearful, where Linus is out in the open, you know, killing and, you know, shooting and all that stuff like that. And you got Karn hiding behind those doors in protection. So there's that. I'm sure there's going to be another big bad guy, but those are your two bad guys that they have in this. And then you got Luthen, right? Luthen is dope. I really like that guy. So he's got kind of like a shoot first, ask questions later kind of idea. So I like how that is. He gets introduced towards the end of episode 2, and then he has a bigger role in episode 3, and I'm sure it's going to be bigger moving forward. He kind of has this mentor vibe about him. He is more interested in hiring Andor than he is in buying whatever it is that Andor has to sell. So when he finally makes it onto the planet and he meets Andor, he's, you know, trying to hire him. This is what's happening. But I really like how he's teaching him along the way as well. Like when he drops the bombs on the door and he's like, you know, always have your exit planned, that kind of thing. So that was really cool. As far as I can say about a vibe for the show so far, like I said, the first 2 episodes, they suffer from being a little bit slow. It starts off strong in the very first episode, in my opinion, with the way that it kicked off. And then you have a lot of introduction for the first episode, so that kind of works. But then episode 2, to me, kind of falls pretty flat. It's It's pretty slow, in my opinion, for the second episode. And really, the only two key points of that episode was when Tim gave up Andor to the officials, and then also to introduce Linus and Luthen. So, but aside from that, I didn't really get much from the second episode. The third episode, though, had a lot going on, and it kind of shows what we can expect from this show. Lots of action. I love how you have the officials charging in after them, and all of the the gunshots and everything, and then like I said, the action, and it's a very action packed episode. And I think it's probably why I got into it so much. I think what really kicked it off for me that I liked the most, was that I really didn't expect the town to have Andor's back. Like when I saw Tim give up Andor in the second episode, I half expected the rest of the town to just be like, fend for yourself. And when the officials show up, you see them like closing shop and everything, and they start banging these chimes, which I thought was just to warn Andor, but we find out that it was really to rile up the town, and then they start to fight back. Especially like when Brasso like ties that ship to the anchor. That was really, really cool. And that was an awesome scene. So the whole way the town got together and they helped fight back, I think really made the episode that much better. And we see the Andor and Luthen escape, and we're gonna get to see where they go next. So, like I said, it's a very cool show in that it has, like what they said, kind of a Bourne Identity type of thing, where you have that kind of slow pace, but these action packed scenes that have a great payoff. So all I can say is that when you start the show, be a little patient when you're watching it. It's gonna pay off as it goes along. So I think that's really great. And like I said, I think it's going to be one of these shows that it bridges a gap between people who are not necessarily Star Wars fans. They may tune into this and be like, man, this is really cool. And then we'll end up with more fans, So I think that's great too. In my opinion anyway, after The Mandalorian, this is probably my next favorite Star Wars show so far. So that's my thoughts on the first 3 episodes anyway. It's my take on it. I'm curious to hear what you guys think, though, about the first 3. Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, may the Force be with you.